You've been told that you need followers to make money online, but what if that's the exact reason that you're still broke? See, I've personally generated over $500,000 in revenue from content without being a massive creator, and I've seen countless of others quietly doing the same with the small but highly engaged audiences. So here's how you can make millions from content without going viral. The first step is you want to stop chasing for audience size and want to start optimizing for engagement, because the way you actually make money is completely different than what most people think. So most people think that you need millions and millions of followers to actually make money from content, but it's actually the opposite. Nowadays, it's way more important to have a highly engaged audience instead of having a high number of followers on your follower account. One of our clients in the real estate space did a $40,000 launch on his first week of launching his community after just 6 months of creating content, and his followers didn't grow as much. His followers grew from 2,000 to about 6,000 following, which is considered small for a lot of people in the industry. But the key is we were very intentional on how we built the brand. We were very intentional on what kind of content that we want to create and what type of audience we want to attract. And nowadays, a lot of big brands don't even prioritize audience sizes anymore, but instead they look for a highly engaged community within a specific subsection when choosing creators to work with. And instead of looking for the biggest audience size, these brands are looking for people with influence. And you gotta understand that influence doesn't just mean having big following. Most people ask, how do you actually become influential? Well, it's actually pretty simple. It's how far your audience are willing to go for you. So for example, if you ask them to show up somewhere, will they actually show up? If you ask them to sign up with their email somewhere, will they actually do that? Now, a good example of this, look at iShowSpeed. Whenever he drops a world tour or whenever he wants to go to stream, he literally have people would fly into those places to meet him and kind of try to crash his stream. And because of that, he's very influential. If he were to say and market a specific brands, people would actually show up for him and actually probably purchase those brands. And you don't have to do this at a big scale. And it's actually the opposite. If you're able to raise a specific audience, even though it's small, but they're really passionate about what you do and what you have to say, and if they're able to see you as an authority in this space, you'll be able to become an influential person in that specific niche. So what does this mean for you? If you're a small creator just starting out, this is actually an advantage because your audience is actually typically more active and responsive, which makes them more valuable to the brands. So what you could do is, instead of focusing on massive growth at all costs, your question could be, how can I create the most engaged community out there? I would ask, how can I make them feel a part of something bigger than themselves? Because every single engagement, every single comments, every single DMs, every single interaction, whether it's digital or online, is valuable. And the more that they spend time with you, the more close and more engaged they will be in the future. So as a creator, you should focus on building those deeper relationships with those niche audiences instead of chasing viral growth at all costs. Because when you're able to just focus on building deeper relationships, eventually those people will spread the word for you and more people would come to your community, making your audience even bigger over time. But even if you understand this, most people still fall into the same trap. Which brings us to step number 2, which is stop relying on virality and start building systems that generate income from small but consistent views. Because the real leverage comes from something else entirely. So most people think that there's only one way to make money from content, which is most people think that, oh, the platform will just pay you if you get views. But that's completely incorrect because there's so many different ways that you can make money from content. Have you ever wondered why your favorite influencer, your favorite content creator always say like, oh, click the link in my bio, or click the link in, or use my special code, or use specific things and that, right? Well, that is called affiliate marketing. And this is one of the best ways for creators to generate income passively through content. And let me explain how it works. So as you're starting to create content online, you're gonna start to see how a lot of people are gonna start engaging with your content. And if you do this consistently, a lot of people will start to see you as an authority in the space. And one of the ways that you can monetize from that growth is by promoting products or services that you believe in. Now, this is the affiliate marketing model. And this works because of 2 things. One is because you already have trust from your audience about that specific topic. And 2, the brand also realized that you have influence over that specific audience or community. And the key here is if you actually believe in the products and services that you share with your audience, then it will be a win-win situation both for your audience and both for the brands as well. And that's how you're going to get paid. Because for every link clicks or every demo or every single purchase from that specific product, you'll be able to monetize a percentage of that price so you can make the difference and commission from every sale that you make. And you don't have to have hundreds and thousands of views to be able to do this well. Even with just a few videos with a couple thousand views, you can generate a significant amount of income if the audience have a strong intent. For example, if you're like me, I love cameras. So I can make a video about what are some of the best cameras that I recommend for this year. And for every single one of those cameras, I can have their own affiliate links that leads to Amazon, and Amazon will pay me between 2 to 5% of every sale of that camera. And you can do this with a lot of different industries. You can do this in beauty, you can do this in fitness, you can do this in food. And nowadays, a lot of companies are actually wanting to get more people to share their affiliate links to their audience because the brand itself understands the importance of this. So it's actually at your advantage if you have a small audience, but a very engaged audience, that you do this model, because you'll be able to not only share them good products and at the same time get paid for every single commission that you make for that sale. And a couple of things that you want to note with this strategy is, number one, you want to make sure that the product is actually good and it actually makes sense for your audience to be able to use that product as well. You don't want to do something random. You don't want to be talking about beauty and all of a sudden you're going to, advertise, and all of a sudden you're going to share a link towards a protein powder, for example. Those are two completely different things. And number two is you want to make sure you integrate this very naturally in your content itself. So you don't want to feel like you're actually pushing this too hard or doing some sort of hard sell. I always come from the perspective of like, hey, here's how I'm able to use it. Here's why I like it. And I think you will like it as well. So that way you're not going to quote unquote sell out to your audience, and your audience actually trusts you more if it's actually a good product that they can actually use. And once you stop chasing virality, you now start to see where the real money actually is. Which brings us to step number 3, which is monetizing trust instead of attention. Because the highest paying opportunities only show up after someone wants deeper access to you. Now, going back to the first story that I had in the beginning, one of our clients were able to launch a $40,000 in his first week of launching his community. Now, how was he able to do this? In the beginning, as we're creating content for him, we focus on a specific area of expertise that he's going to talk about and what he wants to be known for. And at the time, it was development in San Diego. And because we were consistent with his content, always engaging with the audience, commenting on every comment, and even bringing that community in a couple of live streams that we did, after just a few months of creating content, a lot of the audience actually want to have access to our client. And because he was able to position himself as an authority in the industry, a lot of people asked him to grab coffee with him. Now, at first, he was doing it for free because he loves what he does and he wants to genuinely help other people in the industry. But eventually, it just becomes too much because a lot of people want to pick his brain at all times. And that's where we decided to launch a paid community. Now, a paid community, as you know, is one of the best ways that you can monetize your audience as a creator. You can use platforms like School, High Level, WAP, and there's so many different platforms out there nowadays. And the whole premise of a paid community is to give your audience an inside level access towards you. Now, if you're able to build yourself as an authority in the space, you don't need a big audience to do this. Even if you have anywhere between 2,000 to 5,000 followers, you'd be able to monetize to get people to want to become part of your paid community because they want private access. Maybe they want a specific type of tools, maybe they want a specific type of frameworks, or maybe they just want to be able to talk to you, or they want to be able to ask you questions that they might not know about. And because of these access, you can monetize your smaller audiences at a premium. And you decide what the price will be. And the thing is, if you do this correctly, you can unlock multiple layers of other monetization tools out there, because once they have access to you and they are paying for this paid community, they're going to build even more trust at you. And if you have some sort of bigger offer that we can talk about in the next point, then you'll be able to monetize even more. But the simple framework still stands. If you're able to create content consistently and build yourself as an authority in the space, you'll be able to bring value just by simply creating an exclusive environment that people are willing to pay more for, so they can ask more questions or even have a deeper access and insights from the creators that they trust, which is you. Now, once you start building that trust, everything will begin to compound in a very different way, which brings us to step number 4, which is turning your content into a client acquisition system. Because the real goal here is not just views, but it is getting paid for your expertise. And there's a difference. See, if you focus all of your attention into getting views, it's very easy because you can do some stupid stuff, or you can be funny and take off your shirt and go out into the middle of the street and start yelling. That will get you views. But is that actually going to get you paid? Probably not. And that's why some of the smartest creators out there are able to leverage the algorithm so they can build an authority and be seen as an expert in that specific field. The thing is, the psychology of this is very interesting because us as humans are easily convinced. Now, there's a rule in marketing that if you see an ad about 7 to 10 times, nowadays probably 14 times, you'll start to give yourself more rationale on why that is actually a good decision. And this actually applies in this method as well. Because the more consistent you are that you're talking about a specific topic, whether it's content, whether it's fitness, whether it's beauty, in a very interesting way, people are gonna start to trust you as a person. And when they start trusting you as a person, you know what? They wanna give you access to their audience as well. And that's how speaking engagements and workshops and consulting can actually happen. Now, I've made money doing this. I've done speaking engagements, I've hosted workshops, and I've consulted for other brands as well. And just from this alone, you can generate thousands per engagement, even with a small but a specialized audience. For example, let's say you want to focus on wellness and meditation. Now, if you create content and build yourself as an authority in the wellness and meditation space, you can start getting invited to corporate events where they want you to host meditation retreats, or they want to have you talk about wellness for their employees. And this goes both ways. Not only that they can invite you, but at the same time, you can always actively reach out to them to pitch them with an idea. What if you can go to your favorite brands that you think could benefit well from your topic and ask them, hey, are you open for me to have a workshop for your employees? Are you open for me to speak to your team? Or are you open to have me consult in this specific field? Those kind of outbound reaches, if you do have the content to back it up, means something. And a lot of creators make money this way without a big audience. And think about the consequences of that. Not only that you're able to get paid, but now you're also opening yourself up to a whole new audience. If you're able to get booked out to speak on a lot of different stages, you're also opening yourself up into different communities in person, not online, in person. And guess what? These people in person that saw you speak live, if you're actually doing a really good job at what you speak on, they're going to want to follow you more. So it's a consistent loop that you're creating. You create content to build digital authority. Once you have that digital authority, you'd get invited to speaking engagements or pitch yourself to host some workshops. From this in-person workshops, you'll then be able to have new audiences that will be from this in-person workshops. Then you'd have new audiences that want to see your brand. And it's a whole continuous loop. And that's how you keep growing your influence over time. And I've seen creators charge anywhere between $500, $1,000, $5,000, even $10,000 to speak for a couple of hours in front of corporate teams. And this is something that you can do too as a creator if you're able to build your authority in that specific space. And the key point on how you can execute this very well is being able to, number one, establish yourself as the go-to person in that specific niche. Whatever it is, become known in that specific space. And don't just wait for people to reach out to you. Yes, people will come reach out to you when things happen, but start building out those relationships early. Go on LinkedIn, look up event managers for specific industries, or even look up event managers in a specific company. Let's say you want to work with Fortune 500 companies. You want to work with Google. You want to work with Tesla, whoever these big companies are, they always have corporate retreats and corporate events. So reach out to the right person, look them up on LinkedIn, start building those connections early. And if you're consistent with your content, eventually those people will also be able to see that you are someone that they wanted to invite into their ecosystem, to their own community. And that's how you're going to build out your speaking engagements and workshops vertical in your content, in your personal brand, without going viral. But it gets even more interesting when you realize you don't even need to sell your own product. Which brings us to step number 5 is monetizing by connecting your audience to the right opportunities. Because you can get paid without selling anything yourself. And let me tell you how that works. So think about what every single businesses out there want. A lot of businesses always struggle to get customers, whether they are not running ads better enough, they don't know how to market themselves. But lucky for them, they have you. You are someone that knows how to gather a specific audience. You know how to talk to people, that builds authority in a specific space. And what you can do is you can actually partner with companies to send them qualified leads or qualified clients. For example, if you're really good at making law content, or you're really good at telling people what they should watch out for when it comes to getting injured in a car accident, then if you're able to build a content and if you're able to build expertise in that specific space, you can always refer out any business that you have to your local personal injury lawyers, your local lawyers that could benefit from that lead. Or on the opposite side, let's say you talk about personal financing and you're really good at having an engaged community to talk about personal finance. What you can do is you can partner with wealth managers, bookkeeper, tax preparers, any of those kind of businesses that could benefit from your audience. And the way it works is kind of similar to the affiliate model. You have the leads and all you have to do is create an agreement with those businesses, make sure that it is compliant and it's actually legally allowed. And then you can ask them for a percentage of commission for that specific client that you're about to send them. And the more people that you can send them, the more money that you'll be able to make. And if you think about it, the model creates a win-win for everyone. If you're able to partner with the right business that have the same ethics as you, same values as you, and they can serve your audience's need in a specific level, then it's a win for the audience. It's a win for you because you're seen as a bigger authority now because you're able to help them on a specific project. And from the businesses, it's also a win because now they're able to have a consistent lead generation source that they can rely on. And what's awesome about this is that you can work with small, local, or even niche businesses in your own community. So your local bookkeepers, your wealth managers, maybe even your realtors, your construction companies, your pool cleaning companies, your roofers, all of those businesses need more customers. And a lot of them don't really know how to create content well. And if you know how to create content, you don't need to have millions and millions of views or millions and millions of followers to be able to do this. If you have a small, consistent, and engaged community in your area that you can always refer business to, then that's another way for you to make money. And what you want to do if you want to follow this route is, number one, you want to make sure that your content is tailored towards a specific type of niche. Now, once those are created and over time you're starting to get your engaged community, then the next step would be source out a couple of businesses in your local area. Whatever makes sense, maybe gyms or fitness trainers or even bookkeepers. Again, any local businesses that you think would pair best with the type of content that you make. And from there, you can go ahead and ask them like, hey, are you looking for more leads? A lot of them are going to be like, yes, I want more customers. So what you can do then is like, are you open to me sending you leads if you're able to give me a certain percentage of a commission, depending on what the industry is? And you kind of interview them as well. Like, make sure they're a good business, they're a credible business, they also do a good job. The worst thing that you want to do is you want to start working with a business that promised you a big commission, but at the end of the day, they're actually a terrible business. And now your audience already going to lose trust on who you are and never going to watch you again, right? So we don't want that to happen. You want to make sure that you interview them, make sure they're a good business. And from there, it will be a win-win relationship. And the thing is, at the highest level, creators are not just getting paid. They're actually getting a piece of ownership of what it is that they sell. Which brings us to step number 6, which is play for ownership instead of a one-time payout. Because sometimes the biggest upside comes from having a stake in what you promote. Now, this is something that's very new, and I'm seeing a lot of businesses are starting to move in this direction. So if you're actually able to figure out how this works in your specific niche, you could make potentially a lot of money. And by the way, if you've gotten at least one value so far, make sure you click that subscribe button and it will really help out a small channel like mine. Now let's get back to the video. So a lot of brands realize the power that creators actually hold. And if you're able to create a community that is very, very engaged, a lot of brands actually want to see more of that. They want to work with that specific creators long term. And one of the things that you can do is actually securing some sort of equity deals or even advisory roles in companies. Now, we've seen this happen time and time again. You see Jeffrey Wu and Jake Paul partnering together to create Anti-Fund, and you've seen this in all across different industries. And if you're really good at being influential and creating good content and creating community that people actually care about and talk about, you can work with a specific brand and become the face of that actual brand. A lot of businesses and brands right now really want creators as their partners because they know the ability that they can influence a specific niche audience. And if you want to go towards this direction, the first thing that you want to do is, again, establish a very strong niche when it comes to the content that you create so that you can become the go-to person in that specific industry or that specific niche. And then what you want to do is you can go on LinkedIn and search for founders in your area in a specific industry or niche that you care about. Then you want to be able to interview them, see what their product is. And bonus point, if you actually like and use the product, and that's actually a better leverage because you actually like the product yourself. And from there, you can talk with them about potentially being able to become their advisory board or even becoming a longtime partner for that specific brand. Now, you want to make sure that you've done this well, you have a lawyer involved, all the other things, obviously, and you got to also make sure that this is the product that you actually care about and you have a belief in the founder. You don't want to just find a random brand that you don't know and you want to cut this deal with them because you don't know them. And the pros of doing this method is that you'll be able to focus on one specific brand And if it's done well, you'll be able to also get the upside that that brand will eventually produce. It's a higher risk, but it's also a higher amount of return if it's done well. But the thing is, none of this will matter if you're not playing the right game the right way. Which brings us to step number 7, which is building and selling your own products or services. Because this is where the majority of creators' income actually comes from. So you've probably seen this coming, and honestly, this is probably one of the best plays that you can do if you're a creator that really wants to monetize your audience. You know, time and time again, you've seen this happen with so many different creators. You see Chamberlain Coffee, you see all the fitness creators with all their different protein powders, their different energy drinks, and all the other stuff. You've seen Nelk Boys did this with Happy Dad. And this is the ultimate play on how you can have the highest amount of return when it comes to having an audience. But the thing is, it's also the highest risk, because when you do have your own products or services, you will unlock the highest earning potential compared to all the other monetization models. But at the same time, you'll also possess the biggest risk if you're doing everything yourself. If you're doing all the operation, the fulfillment, all of that yourself at the same time of creating content, all of us only have 24 hours in a day, and you got to know which one you'll be good at and which one you're going to be better at. But the thing is, even if you are a creator with a small audience, you can generate significant amount of revenue by selling directly to a niche market. I've seen this person once that all she does is she talks about how you can navigate taxes in a specific niche industry. And she doesn't have like thousands and millions of followers. She only have like 3,000 or 4,000. And the thing is, she owns $1 million business just helping people to do that exact thing that she talks about, because it's very niche and she's able to establish herself as an authority in the space. So if you want to go towards this direction, the first thing is think about what is the product content fit that you can offer to your audience. When you start to figure out what is the product or services that your audience actually need and want from you, then everything will become easier, because you'll know that there is a demand for that specific product or services. And a good way to do this is just to survey your own audience. They're your own audience. So either you run a poll, you ask them on a video, ask them to comment certain things. What is the biggest thing that you're currently struggling with right now? If you have this type of tool, will it help you? Right? And nowadays with AI, you'll be able to create some of these tools and create prototypes very quickly. And if you're able to create those prototypes, you can instantly test out whether someone is willing to pay for it or not. Because when you as the creator focus on building offers that solve a specific problem for a clearly defined audience, that's how you're going to be able to grow your product and business to a whole new level, because you'll already have the demand and the audience for it. And this leads us to the final shift that changes everything. Step number 8, focus on positioning instead of growth, because how you are perceived matters way more than how many people follow you. Now, don't even get me started on so many stories of a lot of creators having hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of views, and being broke. That is not where you want to be. And honestly, then why are you even doing this? You're risking everything. You're putting yourself on camera. And in my opinion, it's better to share something and actually get paid for a good amount of living, right? Because they don't know how to actually monetize their audience. There's so many different creators out there with only 500 to 1,000 views per video, but they're using that content to consistently acquire high value clients, getting invited to speak in front of stages, getting invited to perform workshops, and eventually having their own consulting offer that they can charge $5,000 to $10,000 a month for, because they are known in a specific space. So instead of focusing solely on the follower growth, instead you want to focus on how are you positioning yourself? Are you positioning yourself in a specific industry to solve a specific problem? And if you can fill out the sentence for I help create content for blank about blank, then you'll be able to have a pretty good positioning. And when you have this positioning locked in, then start creating content that would support that positioning and build you as that authority in the space. Because the thing is, time has changed. Nobody's really looking for that 1 million follower influencer anymore. But instead, people are looking into how other creators can actually help them. And if you can position yourself as that person that can help that specific audience in a specific problem, and that's how you're going to win. So number 1, you want to make sure that you exactly know how you help others and what position you want to be in. Number 2 is you want to create content consistently, because when you create content consistently, you'll start building that trust within the industry. And lastly, follow all the other steps before this. You'll be able to then monetize one step at a time and not become a broke creator. And if you like this video, YouTube probably thinks that you're also going to like this one. So let's see if they're right.